AJ, there's rumors that you're preaching next week. You want to preach this week instead? Want to come down and preach? No, I'm joking. Don't. No. That happened, true story, that happened to my dad one time. Anybody that doesn't know, my dad's a preacher. He's been a preacher for like a really long time. One time, he was probably 21 years old, right when he was starting to like preach every week. Pastor got up, and he didn't even, he directed what my dad had to say. He goes, today we're going to be reading 1 John 3, and Joe, I really feel like God's telling you to preach on this word, and called my dad up. It was like, whoop, and it was awkward. That's all. I just thought of that with Tyler. That's all. All right. So getting into tonight's sermon, let's start off with a prayer. God, I come before you right now, and I just want to recognize that I'm not speaking to the air, to some mystic being that I can't know. I'm speaking to my Father. Father, I pray that you give me wisdom. Give me your Holy Spirit to speak the truth in love. Give me your Holy Spirit to love those who I'm speaking to. And God, open blind eyes and deaf ears to hear what you would have to say tonight. In your holy and powerful name, amen. Amen. All right. So I see a lot of people that I don't actually normally see. If you don't know me, my name's Ben. I'm wearing the name tag right now, and you better memorize it because I don't want to wear this name tag the whole time. My name is Ben. Benjamin, Benji, Benjo. Don't call me Benjo. Just Benji or Ben. All right. We've been talking about serving. We've been going, how many weeks have we gone? Does anybody know? 3? How many weeks have we been talking about serving? 3? Is this third? This is the third week we've been talking about serving. And if you have been in the tribe, you know that. If you've been in the church, it's the 4th. It's the 4th week we've been talking about serving. And if you've been in the church for more than about 2 years, this is not the first serving series you've heard. I told you my dad was a preacher. I was going to church 9 months before I was born. Like, I've been going to church my whole life. I've heard 1,000,000 sermons on serving. And it's funny because every single time that serving is taught about, whether it's youth group, whether it's a Sunday morning service, whether it's a Wednesday night service, don't matter. People kind of get tense. It's like money. When you talk about money, people are like, ooh, don't talk about my money. When you talk about service, people are like, ooh, don't talk about my time. Like, oh no, they're going to ask me to stack the chairs afterwards. I know he's going to go, and now we're all going to practice by stacking the chairs and putting them over there. Everybody tenses up when we talk about service. I think that one of the reasons for that is we don't have a true concept of what a reward is. We don't understand that we are being rewarded in service. And we don't understand this because we go through our whole lives being instantly rewarded for things that we do. And rewarding ourselves for things that we do. How many people here have had like a really long day and you get home and you're like, ugh, I'm going to reward myself with some Netflix? Amen. Or you get home and you're like, ugh, I had to deal with Sarah all day and now I'm just going to have some ice cream. If your name's Sarah, I don't have a problem with you. I'm sorry, it just popped in my head. Maybe I subconsciously have a problem with Sarah. I don't know. Or you get home and you do all your homework and you're like, yes, I did all my homework. Now I get to have that cookie. Or now I get to text my boyfriend. Or you reward yourself, right? For things that you're already supposed to be doing. To the point where we even reward ourselves for walking. Like, do you guys know how stupid this actually is? That, like, we set walking goals. Like, I understand the concept is to get healthy. But, like, when all we care about is the steps, and I'm telling you this because I'm guilty of it, because this past week I was dog sitting for some friends. And what we would do when we were it was a big German Shepherd, and it'd be a little mutt. I don't know what it is. And I'm sorry, it's a mixed, itty-bitty little mixed. Is that politically correct? And we'd take them to the park, and then we walk to the park, and at the park, you let them off the leash, and they run around, and while they're running around, me and Cara, being we, would walk 3 large laps around the park, right? Well, I want to say this was Friday. I was by myself, I was walking the dogs, And right when I got to the park, I was like, oh no, I'm not wearing my Fitbit. Like, none of these steps count. Like, come on. I walked all the way here, and now the steps don't even count. And then I let the dogs off the leash, and I was like, I'm not sure I want to walk around 3 times. I'm not getting the steps. Like, why should I walk around if I'm not getting steps? And I walk over to the curb, and I go like this. I sit down, and I'm like, what am I doing? Like, that's not the purpose. So I got up, and I did walk the 3 laps. But I almost didn't, because we have this concept when it comes to rewarding ourselves and rewards, or it's like, it's instant. It's right now. I can see, wait, let's see. Oh, I'm at 7,100 steps right now. I'm at 71.5. That was only 5 steps. We get instantly rewarded for everything that we do. And when you're serving, there's no instant reward. There's not, it's a more delayed thing. So I think that's one of the reasons we don't like to serve, because it's a delayed gratification, and we're just not very good at that. And when I say delayed, I mean probably going to be about 80 years. The other reason we don't serve is we don't really understand what service is. We understand the concept of service. We understand the concept of helping out somebody. But we don't do it because we don't know what it is. Like, I help you, but I'm not sure why. I'm not sure the reason behind that. I think I'm probably going to get a reward somewhere, but there's not that mentality of I know what I'm doing and why I'm doing it. I think if we had that mentality, we would serve, but we don't. When you think of people that are helping refugees and feeding the homeless and helping out widows and reaching out in the orphanages, I think mostly of Mormons. When I think missionary, I think Mormon. When I think super friendly, most of the time I think gay. Like, most of the gay people I know are really friendly. When I think serving, good attitude, I think more Mormon. Why is the church, why is Christianity not known as the I got your back, you got mine? You need something, I got it. You need a lunch meal, I'll buy you lunch. It's because we don't understand the concept of serving. We don't understand what serving is. And in reality, serving it's proof. Serving is just a fruit. Serving is proof of love. If you love someone, you serve them. And I could explain this to you a little more detail, but instead I think we're going to watch a video because it's not a complicated concept. If you love someone, you serve them. So this video we're going to watch is from the movie Enchanted, and if you haven't seen it, it's a great movie. It's about a princess who comes out of the cartoon world and into New York City, and she comes across this guy, and she's like, oh, do you have a girlfriend? And he's like, yes. And she's like, oh, well, do you love her? And he's like, yes. And she goes, how do you know? How does she know that you love her? And he's like, she does. She just knows. And she's like, but how does she know? And that's where our video starts. So take it away.
How?
What do you mean, how?
How does she know you love her?
Oh, my God.
That's a fake smile right there. So that song goes on for about 2 more minutes, but I had mercy on you guys and I edited it. All right. How about those old guys, though? They had better moves than anybody. So today, Cara told me this, so if it's not true, blame her. But do you know why those old guys had moves? Those were the original chimney sweepers from the first Mary Poppins. That's true? I got a couple more that's trues. Isn't that cool? Good for them. They're like 100 years old out there. They still dancing. Broke their hip, but they're still going. All right. So, if Disney can explain this concept, I shouldn't have to spend too long on it. If you love someone, you're going to serve them. You're going to do things for them, right? How many of you guys would think that if you found out in all actuality that when I get home from work, I go in the kitchen, take food, eat it, go to the couch, watch Netflix for an hour or two, go to bed, wake up, do the same thing. Never do anything for Kara. Never buy her flowers, never wash the dishes, never do the laundry, never help cook, never help clean. Just expect her to do everything, and all I do is work and come home. Do you guys think that's a thriving marriage? No. What'd you say? Not going there. This is not a thriving marriage. Or how about, how many of you guys have had a friend in your life that all they ever want is to take from you? And I'm talking like, not like big things, but like, hey man, buy me a Polar Pop. Hey, I saw this cool thing on Amazon and I want to order it, but I don't want to pay for shipping. What's your Amazon Prime password? Or like, hey, what's your Netflix password? I just want to watch some Netflix later on. Or like, hey, can you buy me lunch today? I forgot my wallet. Just buy me lunch. I'll get you back. But they never get you back. How many of, do you guys know somebody like that? Turn to your neighbor and say, they're fake. They fake. If all somebody does is take, then they're fake. Remember that. Whoop. Just made that up. No. You guys understand subconsciously that if they were truly your friend, it's okay to take from your friends, but you also give to your friends. It's kind of like like that's how, it's a give and take. That's how it works. Sometimes you buy them lunch, sometimes they buy you lunch. But if you only ever buy them lunch, they probably don't love you. They're probably using you. And some of us have found that out the wrong way, unfortunately. So, if you love someone, you serve them. Disney knows this. The Bible knows this. We're going to look at a passage in James. Now, James is not just talking about love. He's taking it a step further into faith. Let's look at James 2:14. It says, "What good is it, my brothers and sisters, if anyone claims to have faith but has no deeds? Can such a faith save them? Suppose a brother or sister without clothes and daily food, if one of you say to them, 'Go in peace, keep warm and well fed,' but does nothing about their physical needs, what good is it?" He goes on and says, such faith is dead. So I'm saying, if you're not actively serving God, serving the people of God, serving the people that God loves, you don't love God. And that's hard. I'm sorry for so many new faces because it's kind of a hard message, but the fact of the matter is, if you don't serve God, you probably don't love him. James is saying you don't even believe in him. That faith can't save you. What type of faith is that without any works? Now, there's the opposite end of the spectrum where you got legalism and you got people that only ever work, and they don't have any love. And I'm not judging at all, I promise. I'm pretty sure nobody in this room struggles from that. I can't think, when I think somebody who all they ever do is pour themselves out, serve, not very many names come to mind. But we know that's possible. We know that it's possible to serve with selfish motives, to pretend to be helping someone, but on the inside, it's not out of love. 1 Corinthians talks about this in 1 Corinthians 13. And he says, "If I give all I possess to the poor and give out my body to hardship that I may boast, but do not have love, I gain nothing." So you can serve without love, and I know this because I tried it Monday. Kara caught me red-handed because the company I work for, they do these volunteer events, and it's really cool. It's really cool because they actually pay me for it. But what they do is they say, all right, we're going to go out, and there's a million different ones, but this one that we did this past Monday was go out to Clearwater, and it's a food pantry. We're doing a food drive for homeless and almost homeless people. On Monday, we fed over 330 people. 127 of those people were kids. So, I mean, it's awesome. Really cool event where we go out, and we serve the community as a company. And they pay me for it. And I get to go out and And when I was telling Car about it, I go, hey, this is awesome. So I'm going to this event, and it's really cool because my boss is going to be there. My boss's boss is going to be there. My boss's boss's boss is going to be there. And there's talk that the mayor of Clearwater is going to be there, or the governor of Clearwater. And I was like, so it's going to be a great opportunity for me. I'm going to be able to rub shoulders with all these important people. It's just going to be like me and them. And I'm going to be able to get my name out there and maybe like start moving up in the company. This is going to be awesome. Like, I'm so pumped for this event because I'm going to be working with Ben. I'm going to work with Dan. I'm going to work with Angelina. It's going to be great. And Cara goes, I bet the homeless people love that. I was like, oh. And that's why I love her, because she's so real. I was like, I'm going out there as a Christian and a leader in the church with the mentality of, what can I get from giving these people food? How can I profit? How can I gain? And so it's absolutely possible. But the trouble is, we use that as an excuse to not do good. Somewhere, for some reason, in our society, we've decided that unless we can wholeheartedly love someone, we are fully incapable, and it's blasphemous to serve them. And it's like, well, before I really start serving in my church, I really want to fall in love with myself. And after I really am comfortable and in love with myself, I'm going to just learn how to love my parents. And then I'm going to learn how to love my siblings. And then I really want to learn how to love my friends. And then I really want to learn how to love strangers. And then when I'm overflowing in love and prosperity and happiness, then I will go out and serve. And that's not in the Bible. It's just not there. You know what's in the Bible? What's in the Bible is John 13:14. Now that I, your Lord and teacher, have washed your feet, you also ought to wash one another's feet. I have set you an example that you should do as I have done for you. You are not commanded to love yourself more. You are commanded to wash your neighbor's feet, which is the equivalent back in the day, culturally, of unclogging your neighbor's toilet. Because back in the day, they didn't have Converse. They didn't have closed-toe shoes. And they were walking through the sheep pastures and the meadows and the poop and the stink and the funk. And guess what? They didn't have plumbing either. So they were walking through human poo-poo, as well as the cow and the sheep poo-poo. That's nasty. It was the lowest of the low that washed their feet. And Jesus did it. And he's saying, now that I have washed your feet, go unclog your neighbor's toilet. Pretty much what he's saying. Like, that's nasty. But that's the command that we're given, because it displays, it says, you know what? Jesus not only has totally loved me, but he has totally served me. And now I'm going to totally love and serve him by serving you. And then in serving you and serving Christ, I fall more in love with Christ and more in love with you. The service is the command, and the love is what follows. Rarely have I seen people that are truly serving with all their strength that have absolutely no love. But we use it, that minority case, as a majority excuse to do nothing, saying, I just need to learn how to love people before I go out and serve. But it's just not in the Bible. Serving actually puts us more in God's will, and he uses it to make us fall in love with him. If we wait until we feel the need to serve, you will never serve. I can tell you right now, I have never felt like serving. Rarely. I don't want to say never. Way more often do I serve because I've committed to. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to go do this, and then I go and I do it. It's stressful for me to speak tonight. It is. Not only because I mentally stressful, but not many of you should try to be teachers, my brethren, because those who teach will be judged more harshly. By picking up this microphone, I am allowing God to judge me more harshly. Like, that's scary. That's not a fun commitment, but it's a commitment to serve that I have made, and follow through on your commitments. And God uses that. God will use your small acts of service to launch massive things. I wholeheartedly believe that. Let me tell you a story about some missionaries I know. Missionaries in Bolivia, actually, that I personally know. And one of the major things that these missionaries do in Bolivia is construction. They have a big construction ministry where they will fly teams from all over the world. I'm talking Australia, New Zealand, South Korea, Europe, Canada, US, Brazil, like neighboring Latin American countries. They fly people from all over to Bolivia, put them up in a guest house, and then do construction ministry. They build houses for poor people, people that literally, like almost always believers, that just have absolutely nothing. And they build them a 12 by 15 concrete block house to keep the rain off. And so teams like this, between 5 and 45 people, will show up every day, go out, pray, and work alongside the people in Bolivia to build houses just like this and the next one. And after a couple years of doing this, these missionaries said, you know what? Let's expand a little. Let's start not just doing houses, but building churches. And they started building churches in the city. And then they said, let's not just build churches in the city. Let's go out of the city into the valley of the Amazon jungle. And they would ship supplies down the Amazon River and then fly and land in an itty-bitty little plane on grass runways in Amazon villages and build churches. That church that these missionaries built is the first ever church in that village in the history of the world. That village has never had a church, and they had it through this construction ministry. And then they took it a step further, and these missionaries started working with Compassion International. I don't know if you know what Compassion is, but essentially you pay, us Americans, we'll donate like $45 a month, I think it is, and they will feed and clothe and educate and love on a child in a third world country. Compassion International does this with tens of thousands of kids. Well, these missionaries partnered with Compassion International, and now they built a Compassion International point. It's called a Compassion Point, where the kids all come to take showers because they don't have plumbing, to use the restroom in an actual toilet, to get free education, free books, to get like clothes, to get food to take home. The next slide that's the base. That's the first level of the Compassion Point. And then the next slide that's the upstairs of the Compassion Point. It's a massive 2-level building in the slums of Bolivia, right? So these missionaries have now built over 40 houses. They have now built 10 churches, 11 by the end of the year. They've built 4 compassion points. These compassion points feed over 1,000 children a week. 1,000 kids got food last week, this week, and next week through these compassion points. And I was talking to these missionaries, and somebody said, how did this all start? Like, you guys didn't come down here to do construction. What started this? And he said, you know what? My 16-year-old son, who was in 10th grade, saw a house, actually this house, and looked at the roof. There are holes all in the roof of this 10 roof. And rainy season was coming up. And he went to his dad and he said, Dad, can I buy a tarp? I want to buy a tarp and put it over this house, this lady's house, single mom with 3 kids, so that when it rains, they won't get soaked. They're inside, at least their clothes, they have somewhere to go and not get soaked during the rainy season when it rains for 3 months straight. A 16-year-old kid looked at that house and said, I can do something. let me just serve. And through that, God launched this massive ministry that has built 10 churches, 40 houses, and fed 1,000 kids this week. That's huge. That's God. That's awesome. I want to take it a little more personal to myself. Pastor Ryan, if you could just play a little. For myself, I told you I've heard a million sermons about service. I heard one about 3.5 years ago. And 3.5 years ago, when I heard this sermon, the guy said, if you are a Christian, then you ought to be serving. Now, if you, and I mean this wholeheartedly, if you're just exploring this church, if you're just thinking about God, if you're not really sure about your salvation or anything, that's absolutely fine. Keep working on it. But if you claim to be a Christian, if you claim to be a follower of Christ, and you are not regularly serving somewhere, it doesn't have to be here. If you are not regularly serving somewhere, you need to. And when that preacher said that 3 years ago, he had a couple sign-up sheets. And we're going to have a couple sign-up sheets tonight. And I walked up to the sign-up sheets, and I said, let's see, media, I've done media before. Sound, like the tech. I was like, I've done that before. I've worked in nurseries. I've been in church my whole life. I've done this all. And then there was one sign-up sheet for tribe. I was like, tribe? And it said tribe youth group. And I was like, shoot, tribe youth group. I like high schoolers. They're awesome. I'll sign up for that. I was 3.5 years ago. It was one of the best decisions of my life. Was starting to serve in this tribe. And now I'm getting emotional. But it was such a great decision in my life. And it's the reason I'm standing here right now. And it was from a little sign-up sheet because somebody said you ought to be serving. So now I'm going to tell you guys, if you claim to be a follower of Christ, you ought to be serving regularly. Now, if you're not and you're not sure, I want to pray for you right now. And we're all going to pray together because we are the tribe and we're better together. Yes. So I want to pray for you if you want to accept Christ. And then I'm going to pray for everybody that wants to start serving. And if you want to start serving, come talk to me. We got sign-up sheets. We got a million things to do. I got a million things outside this church to do. If you want to serve in this food pantry, that's awesome. If you want to serve in another food pantry, that's awesome. The goal is serve Christ regularly. All right, so everybody, let's bow our heads. God, I come before you right now. Thank you for this tribe. I thank you for this youth group. I thank you that we're better together. I just want to say right now to everybody out there, if you are thinking of loving Jesus, if you are thinking about this, tonight's the night to commit. Tonight's the night to put a ring on it. So if you are thinking of serving the God of heaven who came down in the form of Jesus Christ to save us from ourselves, I want to ask you tonight to raise your hand right now. Raise your hand right now. We're going to pray together. That's all right. That's all right. If tonight you have been following Jesus for a while and you know God, but when you look at your weekly actions, when you look at your daily actions, there's no service, there's no proof of the love. If you look at this past week and there's not really proof of love, and you want to start showing your affection to God, you don't have to make specific commitment tonight, but I want you to raise your hand and say, I'm going to start serving somewhere. I'm going to start doing something. I'm going to start seeking after God because he's already sought after me. pray for the students. God, I pray for myself that we can love you more and more and more. God, I thank you for tonight. I thank you for the awesome leader that Pastor Ryan is. And I pray that you give us wisdom to live out the rest of the night and our lives for you. In your holy and powerful name. Amen. Amen.